And as you know by now, Trump wins big and wins big in New Hampshire. He is on a virtual certainty of becoming the Republican nominee. Whether he becomes the president or not, of course, that is all open to seeing what happens. Latest numbers via the Associated Press and the New York Times tell us it's about 54 to 43% to Nikki Haley. Now, a few things worth noting here. Nikki Haley, who is no chance of actually becoming the nominee, but she'll stick around because the donors hope that lightning will strike and somehow Trump will just simply disappear in a puff of smoke, or the Supreme Court will wipe him off the ballot. So she's sticking around in the hope that she'll be able to pick up the pieces. But Donald Trump decided to get rather personal, yes, and rather nasty about Nikki Haley and what she was wearing when she was excited about coming second.
And when I watched her in the fancy dress that probably wasn't so fancy come up, I said, "What's she doing? We won."
Something noted by this panellist on Fox News as being a little unnecessary.
The margins in Georgia, in Arizona, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, it's minute, right? It can be the difference between whether you came out and you criticized your opponent's dress, which some could interpret as demeaning a woman, again, which is obviously something that he suffers from, or just making a little offhanded comment that someone says, you know what, I'm going to sit home, or actually, I want 4 more years of Joe Biden. But he has an uncontrollable narcissism and rage about him when he feels insulted.
But interestingly, the angle that Nikki Haley is going to take here, which is the only way to avoid Trump versus Biden is to vote for me, because I'll replace Trump, then I'll beat Biden. But she's also started to focus in on an area that apparently might move as many as 6% of voters, which is if they can say and they can prove that Donald Trump is well and truly not as sharp as he used to be, and he's even in a worse mental place than Joe Biden. I'll have to see him trip over a few more times for that to be the case. But that means she said this today.
No, I've long called for mental competency tests for politicians over the age of 75. Trump claims he'd do better than me in one of those tests. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But if he thinks that, then he should have no problem standing on a debate stage with me.
But just to drive home the point that maybe Nikki Haley's support is not quite what it seems. That even if there was a matchup between Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, some of the people that are trying to get Nikki Haley to become the Republican nominee, well, they'd vote for Biden anyway.
I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC in their nomination, but is also a vote towards democracy.
So is her support built on a house of cards? Probably. But Trump is on his way to being the nominee.